Okay, so good afternoon, one and all present here. I, Nabila Kazi, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology. So we are going to start with our last session for the day. So it gives me an immense pleasure to propose the introduction for our resource person for the day, Dr. Liji Santosh, who is IQSC coordinator as well as vice principal of our college. So ma'am has been doctorate in economics and has 25 years of experience in teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students. Ma'am's research career has started in 2005 by taking up a project with NABARD as a research assistant. Ma'am's major area of research projects were on bank linkage, credit worthiness of women in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Ma'am has also completed her funded research from University of Mumbai on spiritual tourism, that is a case study of Shirdi in Maharashtra. Ma'am has also published and presented papers at national and international conferences. Ma'am has also delivered talks on self-help groups, gender equality, gendered experiences, gender and climate change, studying abroad with scholarship, okay, research funding and lockdown musings. Ma'am has also been delivered sessions in different universities, which include Central University of Kerala, University of Mumbai, SNDT University, and many more on the list. Ma'am has also chaired several sessions of symposiums and conferences across India. Ma'am has been a member of Syllabus Revision Committee at University of Mumbai, as well as ad hoc BOS member at NM College of Economics and Commerce. Ma'am has also been associated with NGOs like Economics Club of Mumbai and WACA, that is Women Against Cyber Abuse Foundation, and also an active member of Indian Economics Association's IEA. Currently, she is head Department of Economics and vice principal and IQSC coordinator of our college. I welcome you, ma'am, for the session for the day. It gives me immense pleasure. Over to you. You can start with the technical session.
Very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm extremely thankful to our principal, Dr. Sridhar Shetty, for selecting this topic for me, because it was his idea that I can do well in this concept called as observation. Probably maybe because the research areas which I have covered throughout my career was related to observation and case study, and also related to field work. So I don't believe in passing through Google form and getting the data done. So this my introduction itself, she has already told that. But apart from that, I would like to connect with the previous sessions, which was done by Dr. Sudhakaran and Dr. Ramesh, and the morning sessions by Gupta sir and also by Kripa ma'am, because it's actually a complementary to their sessions, nothing else to add on, because the session is all about observation and case studies. So how observational research is so important in conducting the research. So I'll share my PPT. So if anywhere the PPT stuck, so let me know, because sometimes there is some problems with it. Can you see the first slide of this pic, Nabila?
Yes, ma'am. Nabila ma'am is not there, ma'am.
Okay. So this picture speaks volumes about an observation. So I want to ask the participants and to get engage them and for a warm-up session. So this is actually a warm-up session. Please let me know what all things you can see or you can observe in this pic. Zainab is saying there is no picture visible. That's why I asked you like whether
Ma'am, your
it's
PPT is
visible.
not visible, ma'am. I think there is some sharing issue.
Now can you see?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Can you just see this picture now? So Rashmi, yeah, many people have answered. Vijay sir, Disha and Jasleen. So can you just tell me what all things you can see in the picture? And what makes this picture very different, or what should not be there in this picture, according to your observation? It's a warm-up exercise for an observation method. So please tell me this. Please use your chat box and start writing what is wrong with this picture. That's it. Is everything all right here? Or something wrong here? Okay, Jyoti. Man is hiding face. Then beach with ducks. Okay, but something which should not have been there is present here in this. Some duck's head is white and green. Okay. Then anything else? Ducks are scattered. Some ducks are towards the man and some are afraid. Some birds. Then Viveka, man is feeding the ducks away from food. What else? What else? Come on. Some ducks are not in water. Okay, so I just want to observe your observation. How good your observation is. I said something which should not happen according to the nature's law is happening over here. So, but nobody is watching it. Yes. I mean, nobody said that it is a sea. It is your perception. No one said. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. You are just observing it, and you say that it's a sea, and you are saying it's ducks. You are saying there is a man. Uh, yes. So beautiful. I mean, you all are really doing yourself well to conduct this exercise because it's a post-lunch session and you need to get really warm up. Otherwise, if you listen to my stories about observation, so you will really get bored. So it is very important to use your brain when it comes to research and especially observation. So observation, as far as your it's concerned, nobody could find out or your observation, or else you are not observing it. You know, many people have observed whatever you can see, but I said something is wrong in this picture, and that something you are not coming up. So what I'll do is I'll try to change to the next slide, and now tell me what is wrong in this picture. Other one can answer, I'll give you. Is everything okay with this picture? Or is something wrong in this picture? Priya says no, nothing is wrong. Amitabh is saying there is a lock channel. Door is not closed. Okay. Something wrong. Absolutely right, Sahana. This is right. There is no keyhole. So how will you open the door? So everybody is actually following what is right in this pig. So let me just go back and ask you again. If you said there was no keyhole in that pig, then what is wrong here? There is something like that. Something wrong is here in this pig. But yes, it is more tricky. Yes. So people are still thinking, dear colleagues and from my academic fraternity, you can see who is this? This is not a duck. Okay. This is a pigeon, and a pigeon cannot be there in water. That's what I wanted to show it to you to begin with. So for an successful research, a successful observation is very important. So with that warm-up game, let me begin this session on observational research design. I hope you enjoyed playing the game. Yes. Yes, no is very important. Otherwise, it's going to be very boring. So observation is very, very important. And what is observational research design? And to be very frank with all of you, this is some quotations which you always use. Observation is as a systematic description of events. It's about behavior and artifacts in the social settings of chosen for study. So basically, observation in social sciences is very, very important. And it's one of the most important research thirds. So, and it's also one of the most diverse. As I have shown you the first pic, where you can see the diversity. Somebody said that there are so many ducks over there. Someone said colorful ducks are there. Someone said man is actually covering the face. Someone said it's a sea. Someone said it's a pond. And that's the diversity, and that's the beauty of observational research design. So observation is basically learning through observing, and not just observing, but documenting. And if you are successful in observing and documenting, then you can say you are a successful observer, and the successful observer will be a successful researcher. So in our journey in research, it's very essential to have observation methods to be used. So as the title of this session says, that it's about observation as well as about case study. So observation and case study, actually case study is a part of observation. So the broad framework is always observation. How to, just an observation, we all observe every day so many things. Like you observe the people around you. You may be observing the behavior of the people. You may be observing the noises coming up around you. You get attracted, distracted, and everything. But what should be your focus? That is what observational research design actually teaches us. So it says that there is a scientific method, and which should be carried out on a very systematically, purposefully, and on the scientific grounds. So here we will be going ahead with a lot of methods to be studied in observation. So what all things observation can involve, as just I was telling you, it's all about just watching people, their observation, listening to everyday conversations, interviewing individuals, and focus group interviews, like as all the previous people have already spoken about this, questionnaires, and also checklists. So there will be questionnaires, and you will have a checklist along with that, whether all your questions are answered properly or not, and so on. So in coming up slides, I'll be sharing with you a lot of, the incidences which has apparently come across when you do an observational research. So observational research design has got some parameters and some ideas, roadmap to go in. Like it starts with a research aim. So basically, what is a research aim? Its main method in a project, or one of the several complementary qualitative methods. So observational research, the moment you think it, like it's obviously it's a qualitative research, but it also as a part of a mixed method. In qualitative research, we do more observation than in the quantitative research. Observational research needs a lot of access to the field. So what is this access to the field? It's like identify and define a specific field for observation. So when you take up your PhD research, or when you want to write any research paper, you have a theme or a topic in your mind. So as the first speakers of the session told in the beginning, like you narrow down your topic and you start focusing on the area. So when you select an area, for example, your study says like it's a study of this particular area, or a study of this organization, or is working, so a study of burning issues amongst teachers. So all these things are actually taking you to a field. So you should not forget the field. And to access to the field, you need that identification and focus, narrow down and find out what kind of access you needed for the field. Then comes sampling. Yesterday, we have done an elaborative session on sampling. Later on, how to determine the sample size. So on sampling, what, who, where, and when, let's do it in detail about what type of sampling it's all about. So the in sampling, what we generally do is, it's about the initial research problem we have to choose in this particular sampling. So this is again, it's, you can say, like Patty Sortin, an American researcher who has sent the students with an assignment to investigate on communication process. So by observing that research process, these kind of like general pointers have been noted down. Like the first pointer here is on management of time and space. So how time is organized when you get into the sampling area of observation. So time or organization is very important. And for example, the space, such as if it is about city planning or it is about a building's architecture. So this is the space wherein you are going to conduct your survey, or you have to observe the things which is happening in a city architecture. Like, you go and then sit over there, observe the people, how much time it takes for a man to build one particular app, and so on. So within how much time it's. So all these things are very important in the beginning when it comes to the sampling pattern of observation. Then the objects. Now, what do you mean this objects? Objects means the physical objects present in the field, like tools, the machines, furniture, food, what kind of physical food, it's decoration, sign, images. So when you get into a place like the one I'm shown in the beginning about the lock and there is no keyhole. So if there is something else is there, so you will be telling that, okay, this is also there and this is not there. So all the objects you should observe. It's very important to observe the objects nearby. Now, who all are the social actors? That is the people who look like and the one behave in given space and time. Like, what is the status of different people? When you go there, you categorize the people. Like the people who, if you get into a village, then you categorize the people into the people who live in, you can say 300 square feet small huts, and then to 5,000 square feet mansions. So the social actors, you categorize into them. Then what kind of interaction you do? Like, for example, what do people do and how, and what kind of non-verbal and verbal behavior you observe. So these kind of interactions we do with the people, whether they use the technical language, or when you get into an IT firm, for example, people prefer to have technical language. So we all learned during COVID, like 19, the word called as mute and unmute. Right. So this is something like a technical language where we use. Otherwise, what kind of language we used to use? Like we used to say switch it on or switch it off. I mean, general. Or else are you going to use any kind of colloquial terms, like the terms which the natives or the local people use? It's called as colloquial language. So if whenever you get into the field, especially in observation, it is always better to use the native language. And if you know the colloquial language, it's fantastic. Then you will be very successful in interacting with such kind of people. Then about the routines and the rituals and the episodes, like what are the routine course, like it's involved in that. So what more rare or unusual or unexpected ones to be using, like what kind of ritual behaviors people are doing. Basically, if you see maximum observation, or when it comes to participant observation kind of a thing, where you immerse into the culture, like ethnographic studies, where you study about culture, religion, beliefs. So that kind of things, even you go ahead with all their routines, you observe a person from morning to evening. You are being, like that person is your research target. Like say one very popular industrialist, like Birla, Kumar Mangalam Birla. and you are asked to observe him. After accessing the field and getting into interaction, you are getting a permission to observe him. So what all things you will observe? You will observe the routines and the rituals of doing, like normal food, eating, everything. And also what all things you observe, it's all been a part of this sampling issues. It is what, who, where, and when. So it comes in. So, but whenever you do observation of this kind, as I told you about this industrialist, there is always a tendency to get distracted from the purpose. That is your focus of your research methods. So whenever we do research, there is a research problem chosen in the beginning, isn't it? This kind of, as in the previous slide said, like it's all will lead to a dilemma, and a dilemma of a huge concern. You can say a lot of complexity and lot of things like it will be coming into your mind. For example, you are observing in the industrialist, you are supposed to observe him only, but nearby, whatever is happening, that also you will observe. Natural it is, because you feel like, okay, let me observe this to that too. Then you are not getting focus. So observer has to choose only one situation, depends on the research problem choosing. So now what were, when and how to observe. So that part of sampling depends upon the time, people, and the context. Here, it's very important in your research chapters, if when you write, like the time, select the observation period. It's very, very important. Everyone's time is precious, even yours too. So therefore, you need to select the observation period in such a way that in that period you take the appointment, you go to the village, or you get into the factory, or you get into the office. But that observation period, whatever you selected for, say for example, first day of this month to the last day of this month is your observation period. Right. And you need to know like who you are going to observe, which type of people. In an office, other one more thing about time. When you have an observation period also, like I know people who have kept their observation period during this COVID time, prior to COVID, and they've decided like they will be keeping it from April 1st, 2020 to April 30, 2020. But the things went all ups and downs. So time will have all these issues. When demonetization happened, the economy was going like down. So this is all a part of that particular select observation period, and you have to choose the problem in such a manner which will actually cater to the time which you have chosen. So very important thing is time. And along with time, people's attitude changes, people's behavior changes, human relationships change. So time is very, very essential. Then it comes like about people. I told you like there is a diversity in the community wherever you so. So we should be able to observe, and when you prepare your questionnaire itself, you prepare it as per the different age groups, isn't it? Gender, then the position sometimes, even the income matters. So according to that, that actually talks about the diversity of the community. So that way you can actually look into this part of sampling. And then comes which context, Atkinson has written about this, which area of context we should see. Like this here, I can easily give an example of the teachers. Like front stage and backstage context. Like when you observe one set of community, like teaching community, this is just an example. You should see like what's the front stage and the backstage. It doesn't mean that the teacher's personal life. No, the teacher behaves differently in the class. The teacher behaves differently with the parents. The teacher behaves differently during the tea break. Am I right? Yes, participants, am I right? The teacher behaves differently. So it will be different in when they interact with, like the speech in the classrooms. To the parents, it is different, but it will be very different when we sit with our colleagues and have a cup of tea. So this is very obviously seen from the context point of view. So yeah, almost everybody is agreeing with my point. So this is related to the area of, as I said, about the context. Now, who is an observer? So an observer is the one who obviously into research and want to do something related to the topic which the researcher has chosen. So here the observer is either completely participating or partially participating or completely a non-participant. Now, who is the one who is completely participating? Uh, I will tell you there are examples like people go to the field, like Krupa ma'am in the morning, she said. She goes to the field, she stays with them, and sometimes, you know, she only talks their native language, and then she immerses with them, she adopts their culture, and then she does everything, whatever is related to their culture and everything. So this is like completely immersing into the culture, and then you are participating over there, and it's actually very interesting area of uh, like getting into somebody. But this happens mostly in the, as I said at the beginning, ethnographic studies. That's about the religion, the beliefs and values. So all these areas, this complete participation in the research happens. And I have seen teachers who does this kind of research. Even it happens in management studies. So whoever does in this kind of research, what they do is, normally we get this research break during the career. So at that time, they get into this kind of work and then complete their work. Because this kind of participation and doing research gives a lot of excellent results. Because finally, what research is seeking is for, a good result. So this kind of research actually gives a lot of good research. But, you can say they always get into problems. Say, for example, is it really in case of any political, fundas they get into, so they automatically land up in trouble. Next part is very safer side. You can say partially participating. Now, who is this partially participating person? I'll say, like they takes parts in the interaction, okay, but not in the type of the activity. Like as I said in the beginning, completely participating. They will even work with them, and they will see to it that they're working in the field. Like I've seen in the villages, the women who sing the folklore and do the cultivation. I mean, if somebody is from the village side, they may be knowing that. Like when they sing the folklore, the area of, the stories of the kings and the kingsmen and the queen, and, the story keeps on happening. And along with that, what the researcher who does the research on folklore studies, like again, it's an ethnographic type of studies, and from the literature people, they do join them with the work. They do sing the song along with them. So this kind of thing is not happening in the partially participating. What they do is they will sit with them, they will interact with them, they will ask questions. In case of medical sciences, like they may be asking about the patient care, but they are not doctors, right? So that kind of ideal to learn, it's ideal to learn the norms of an organizational study, and also the values and the rules of the behavior, how the rules of the behavior is actually affecting the participation in the work and so on. So this all things are actually matters. Another people are called as the non-participant people. Now, who are they? Observers are of three categories. One, completely participating. Two, partially participating. Three, non-participant. So here the non-participants are the observers. They are actually the one who is without any involvement. What they do, they don't involve into any human interaction in the field. They don't interact with anybody. So what they do, the role may, you can say, may not seem to be a very full understanding to the social reality. But as I mentioned earlier, researcher adjusts the role according to them. So the non-participant observer actually got a lot of strong advantages. Like they will look into that. Like a rally is happening, a concert is happening, shopping centers, airports. So if you want to learn about the travelers, in an airport passing at the international airport, you can be one of, you can take access to the field from the airport authorities, get into the airport, observe the people of various, color, region. You can start coding about the number of people you visited. So you are not interacting with anyone, but you are still observing, but you are a researcher. So this is like basically the three participants. So the observer, I mean, if you are a researcher, you can take choose of any of the three forms, positions in the field you work. You need not be that you have to interact. That is why it is said that you actually get into a form of a neutral form. Like the attitude towards observed behavior of groups in the organization, it's like it's perceived. So you can find out your ideological neutrality. That's what the people written down, they observe it from their studies. They have come out with that. I have seen more literature about observational research and studies only in the 21st century than in the 20th century. But the research was happening even in the 20th century. But to find out like how it can be a neutral ideologically pinning kind of research, that happens only, like in this way. So it is said that the researchers are thinking and feeling as human beings, and they are engaging in relationship with others, nurturing more or less crystallized areas, and then they are political religious view, because everybody has got different views about the people. So now the other part of observation and the most important part is about notes taking. It's the most crucial role when you get into observation. You need to have either your notebook ready, or you need to either transcribe, or you should record, but like you should take the notes regularly, because you should know, like it's very important, and the most important principle in observation is notes taking. So without notes regular having and noting down the minute details, like something falls down, so what is, how it is falling down, at what width and what level. So minute detail, but it matters. As in the beginning itself, that's why I've shown you the pic of those ducks, and there is a pigeon in between. So it's a very small minute details, but it goes unobserved. And a successful researcher is the one who notes down all those unobserved and unnoticed things, and then make notes of that and see to it that what's happening on there. So then the reactions of the observed people. These reactions of the observed people, I must say, there is another slide which is coming up. Like it even happens when you read the eyes of the people. So when you go to the field and then you are talking to a woman, and you are asking about, like, how happy are you, or is it okay, fine to have you. So nobody is going to give you a truthful reaction. Believe me, nobody is going to tell you the truth. So they will be telling, most of them I have seen that, that they are in a fascinating world, and then they speak about their fascinations and their gnomes and so much. So, but at the same time, if you look into her, she may be looking into the other person and maybe smiling, or her eyes may be talking something to the other person. So the reaction, will give you a lot of things. So how can you get better reactions? By asking right questions, like how today morning on questionnaire sessions we were taught, like, so the reactions are very important, and you note down the reactions. This also gives a very, can say a very good weightage in social sciences. Like when women borrow money, they are more scared about it, because they don't like being in indebtedness. So the percentage of women borrow money than men, the social data says it is comparatively less. Describe rather than make judgment. So this is another area. Avoid quick and unjustified generations or stereotyped typifications here. So don't think like, okay, she looks at the person in that way, so that means she's rude. No, don't give the stereotype justifications over here. You have to describe what is the reason behind it. Record and transcribe is something like which nowadays all the interviewers do while doing that, and it's a beautiful one. So while transcribing the recordings of yours, as Kripa said, like, you need to write down, don't dilute it at that stage. Later on, when you will keep on, observing and observing and observing, then you will realize every minute details which you have recorded has got lot of importance. So therefore, record and transcribe this speech, very important, and it's a very important part of notes taking. And in case if somebody asks me, like, why don't you, like record it, you can say video recording kind of thing. I have seen in the field, like especially in the agriculture field, generally people don't like recording. They are shying away from that. So you need to take permission from the people, because it's a part of ethical research. You need to do that, and your notes should address your research topic. Whenever you write down the notes, this happens in the interview methods. Whenever people go for interviews, then in order to make the person sitting in front of you very easy, you need to ask about, like, when you're going to a hotelier, my recent example, and you ask the person, like, how did you, you want to know something else, but how can you ask that your topic directly? You cannot ask. So therefore, you have to make the person very easy with how did you start with. It's a very progressive institution. So these all are like how to ease out the person to, to know more about the topic which you are related to. So therefore, when you take down the notes, you need not write down about the history of that organization, wherein you can write down the organizational setup instead if it is there in your topic. So therefore, the note should address to your research topic. Now, what are the characteristics of effective observers? One and the most important thing is having an open, non-judgmental attitude. Very important. You should have a very open but a non-judgmental attitude, because the moment you judge according to your beliefs and your thoughts, then you're finished. Then your observation was wrong. So you don't mix up your feelings with what you observe. You just see, you write what you see, nothing else. Being interested in learning about others. You should show your interest to learn about others. Then only they will opening up and they will be talking about, what it is all about. And being a careful observer, recorder, and you should be a very good listener. You should listen to what others say. During the entire process of interview, you should basically keep quiet, just put one question and listen to their stories. And believe me, they come up with beautiful stories, and you will get the crux of the research from the stories itself. So being open to the unexpected. I must tell you, this is reality. You should be open to the unexpected when you are in the field and observe things. Sometimes you may ask to go out of the room, although you have taken the access. So it's not expected for you. Sometimes many people, when we interview with women, the men says like, I am not liking it, you just get out from here. This is all common part of observation. But you should be very patiently doing it, because you have gone there with a purpose. You need to extract things for the purpose. So I hope up to this, it is very clear to everybody. Yes. Okay, so I'll move ahead with the observation techniques. So, I mean, I'm sure, like, most of us must have never thought like this kind of things which we do every day. We have never thought that we have to do it scientifically, and it has got so much to learn. Yes, it has got so much to learn. So let me come up with observation techniques. Now, what are the different types of observation techniques actually prevailing here? So there are two types generally: direct observation and indirect observation. Direct observation is when the observer is looking at the events happening in front of his or her eyes at the moment of them occurring. Simple. You just were observing a rally led by a very popular political leader, and you observe like some of them are hired and some of them are, participating in from the core of their heart. Direct observation. Indirect observation is like you're watching the same thing but in a television. So it becomes an indirect observation. I hope that example makes it very clear, right? Now, let's learn it in detail. It's very important to learn it in detail. Direct participant observation is one of the most, you can say, the classic research method which we use in the organizational studies. So the teachers from the management part, or the teachers who get into organizational studies, for them direct participant, like you can say direct participation observation is wonderful. So why direct is important is like you can active observing the events of doing it well. But when you get into direct participant observation, I have seen that it is, like it's a lot of time consuming. It takes away your time. And sometimes it is even stressful, because it's not necessary that every time the people are ready to, you can say like, cooperate with you, and they may not be. So Yes, and you should get direct participation gives you a lot of data about the social practices also. But you need to be, like as I told in the beginning, you have to get immersed into the group and then you have to get into the group. So it can be dangerous at certain situation. Like for example, if you're going to a jail to observe the criminal cases or a situation of heightened conflicts, like if it is ethnic or highly religious, so it will get into conflicts and you will be unnecessarily in trouble. So all those things you should keep in mind when you get into direct participation. There is another area, this is I told you about organization studies called as direct, but it is a non-participant observation. Very interesting area, I believe it is. And all of us can try this. So here what we have to do is, like, you are getting into an organization, any organization, whether it is in a school or a college or a firm, you know, and you can get over there and you are doing a direct you can say, I can give you an example, like a friendly foreign, a friendly cousin from abroad. So one of your friendly cousin is coming from abroad and coming to your home, and they're sitting there. You are not going to say A to Z about your family matters to that cousin, right? But you definitely interact. So this is called as direct non-participant observation. So you are positioning as an outsider or like a guest, and you look into the people and you can even ask questions. And this is about the skill. It's all about your skillful act. Someone in the beginning has written about the skill. Yeah, it's about the skillful act matters over here. You can even get into their lunch breaks, sit with them, but you're not directly participating in their work. But you are just, for some time period, you have taken some permission, getting into the. So even you can even catch up in the narratives of their office gossips and so many things. So direct non-participate observation is you can make it into even into a social, turning into a social situation. So I have summarized this direct non-participation observation as writing it below that, it's all about influencing other people simply, now not doing anything, but your own presence. So your presence, it should influence them and they should come up with their ideas and you should talk to them. So you are not directly involved over there, but you are indirectly involved, and then you are getting as a non-participant, but you are directly there. It's not a non-participation. You are there. Direct non-participant observation, it is called as. So the people are become very comfortable with you when you go in this manner, and it can happen, and it's possible for all of us to do that. And you can do with their daily routines and everything. Another thing which is all about the indirect observation. So here the researcher does not participate. Okay. So direct and direct non-participation over there, like researcher is participating. So here, as I told you, you watch through your television matters or the video recording or through your YouTube channels, written materials. You observe things through reading also, isn't it? While reading also, you can observe so many things. So it's all about video recordings, about written materials which you have. So indirect observation happens through that. So various techniques of indirect observation is about the physical trace evidence and field visits. So here I will tell you a very small case which happened in 1973, and the researchers were from University of Arizona. Arizona is in USA, you must be knowing. So it's about the case of rubbish bins. So what is rubbish bins? I mean, let us interact a little bit. Can someone say, like, what is rubbish bins? Rubbish bins means what? What is rubbish bins? To see now, I cannot make you people sleep, right? So I need to interact continuously. So what is the rubbish bins? Anybody has got any answer for rubbish bins? Dustbins, yes. Thank you, Kalpana. So it's about the dustbins, yes. So dustbins, this is about the study of dustbins. So over there, a set of researchers were doing research and reading about an issue which happened in America at that time. And the story is goes like this, the case goes like this. At that time, there was a very huge shortage of beef in USA. And so obviously the result which we expect will be the people end up eating less meat, isn't it? But when they checked their rubbish bins or their dust bins, which is actually kept near the doors at that time in the US, it was found that more meat was found in the dust bin. Ironically, what happened was when people heard that the price is going to increase, so they started buying and storing of more meat, which they couldn't consume and they had to throw it away. Or else they purchased so much of cheap meat at that time, which had more fat content in it, which they had to throw it out. So therefore, what people react at times in front of you may not be their real life. So the story of rubbish bin talks about this kind of contents of real life at that particular period. So it's about the garbage project, which was taken up by a group of people from University of Arizona, and people, as I told you, people in the beginning, they buy larger quantity of meat and they store it at their home, and they could find it out like it's all about. Now, the next area is called as indirect observation. Indirect observation comes up through audio and video recordings. Even the video recordings of the CCTV cameras are being observed. Now here, there are a lot of ethical concerns. Some people don't even know. So the audio and video recordings is all about, it has got a lot of ethical concerns related to that. Auto observation is always better in such cases, and then you have to do the documentation analysis. Like generally in indirect observation, this documentation analysis happens in the archival studies, like when you study about history and related to the, all those areas, this kind of things happen. And over there, the content analysis has been taken up with the help of themes and keywords. Then there is huge things to talk about the narrative analysis, like where stories and events are narrated. So here in this kind of, you can say, auto observation, you can see the interviewer's observation. Yeah. Somebody asked me directly. Okay, that's what I'm saying. What is auto observation? So I'll tell you, this is very, very interesting area when you talk about this. But when it comes to narrative analysis, must say that the stories and events which we get narrated in the interview methods, it's really very interesting, and you get more than what you require. That's what I told when you record also, while transcribing, don't dilute the value of that. So and then you do the document analysis by dividing it into narration as well as content. The next one is about indirect observation. The modern age observation is about observing internet, and that's called as ethnography. Okay, it's like nothing but you are observing internet, and through internet, whatever data you can collect and observe and analyze and do as the 21st century researcher, like who want to save a lot of time, not observing and going to the field, but still I say field visit matters more. So there is some new directions for observational research. One most important one which we do in observational research, the latest one is called as sensory ethnography. One example I can tell you is about the eye tracking technology. It's very popular. Here, eye tracking technology, when you use all your senses, like how your senses are actually, through your senses, how somebody can observe it. So it's one of the eye tracking technology. It's been used in marketing. Is that like if your eyes are jumping out, expressions when you look into ice creams, and you love to see that, and then the marketeers use this kind of technology to sell that kind of products more. So this is there are technology being used to use your the retina rotation, and then how it is like how can you do research. There's a huge study is being done on eye tracking technology. It's a modern research mission. Now, this part of my thing, I am ending with this kind of a pic. Now, this is another exercise for you, because I don't have much time to talk more on, you can say, on observation. So let me just ask you, like, what can you see in the pic and what is your analysis according to what I taught right now or what I discussed right now? What is your analysis about this pic? Please write down in length. I'll give you 1 minute time to write down. All are with their mobiles and everyone is taking pic. More people are busy in their cell phone. Reading book has become a rare phenomenon, hence everyone want to capture it. That's very nice. The reader is object of amazement for the selfie of this generation. Absolutely, absolutely right observation. People are video recording. Yes, very nice. Very nice. So I go with what Nidhi and Kalpana ma'am has said, like, it's all about, it's an amazing thing now because of people don't read. And you can see that they all are passengers and only one person is reading. So he becomes a rare, a rare personality. You can say an antique piece amongst all the population. Absolutely. Absolutely, Riaz. So this is, it's an amazing and extraordinary things. So I hope like after the session you are a really Anup Prasad. Yeah, people are not watching TV. Yes, the reader has become very exceptional. So yes, there is some good observations. Yes, I got it. So I'm little satisfied. Like yes, people were listening to me. So therefore, with that, I move on to the next area called as case study research. Most of us take case study as a part of our research. It's very important to have a case, a supporting case, to, like to move on along with the research. And it's very important. So what is a case study research approach means that it is used to generate an in-depth, multifaceted understanding of a complex issue in its real life context. I'll read again. A case study is a research approach that is used to generate an in-depth, multifaceted understanding of a complex issue in its real life context. So studying about examining the phenomena within its context. That's what how I summarized is called as case study. Somebody. So this is an extract from a book which I've read recently on types of case study. Case studies are actually categorized into several types. So once one take up any case study as their research part, you should know which type of case study you have taken it up. Whether you have taken up an individual case study, whether you have taken up a set of individual case studies, or whether you have taken up a community case studies like a family, kinship in England kind of thing, or a social group case study like about outsiders, and a study of organizations and institutions working for Ford or for Ford and so many things. Studies of events and roles and relationships like housewife kind of a thing and so on. And so this is all types of case studies are actually existing in the world, basic in the research world. Now, how case studies stands out? In all other observational methods, case study is one of the major methods which we use in observational method. So how case studies impact other methods? Like case study research is actually divided into three. One, it's very unique. It leads to different knowledge and it's more concrete. This is what this reference says. So it's very unique in its own way. Say I'm planning to study about the beaches of Goa as my case study. Or somebody is studying about the IT firms in Pune district and so on. So it's going to give you something very unique and as per your observation about the case, whether it is direct, indirect, non-participant in anything. And it gives you a different types of knowledge. So case study research is more concrete It gives you a lot of evidence and lot of concrete evidence for your research. So one thing I want to tell you, like if anybody is here with psychology, because psychology is an area where we use more cases, more case study, experimented method in case study. So this kind of case study is exact opposite to the science laboratory experiment. You cannot say that, medical experience is going to happen over here. So there are basically 3 steps in case study research method. When if you are planning to take a case study as part of your research methodology, then step 1, make sure that the strategy fits your methodological choice. The strategy fits your methodological choice. Very important. If it doesn't fit, then your research is not going to give you the desired results. Case study works with any kind of research. You want to do some religious topics, or you want to do some, I told you about nature, or any type, it works out, because everywhere cases are there. Step 2, while selecting the case again, you need to be very careful. Are you planning to take a case which is a single case? Like here, I'll take again organizational example. Whether it is single case study, like one company within an industry, or is it a multiple case study, like several companies within an industry. So this is all very important. So it is always a challenge to justify your choice of case. Step 3 is about selecting the depth. This matters a lot. Once you have chosen your case, depending upon the research methodology you are going to use, and then whether you have selected single or multiple, complementary to your cases, because there are certain cases, if you get into religious studies, or you get into history, or you get into organization, some people only say that they are talking about the FMCG product, so on. So this fast moving consumer goods. So that indicates like it is a case study of so many, companies within one industry. So that kind of, once it is chosen, then you have to select the topic in whether the depth, how much depth you want to go. So most of us contain this embedded case studies rather than holistic case study. Holistic case study is something like you are examining the cases as a whole. You are selecting a case and you are only examining the case and bringing out a theory out of that case, or you are developing a case out of, or theory or model out of the case which you have researched out. So that's called as holistic case study. So when you want to study a particular self-help group in Andhra Pradesh, this is just an example, promoted by Hindustan Lever Limited. Once this was, yes, Shakti group of, like people, they are actually promoted by Hindustan Lever in Andhra Pradesh. So what they do is they are, given an opportunity as micro entrepreneurs. So what these women do over there is they sell the surf sachet and the Sunsilk, the shampoo which Hindustan Lever actually sells out. They sell all these sachets in their neighborhood, and it gives them a livelihood. And they formed their self-help group named as Shakti. So based on this, how did this particular model came up to Hindustan Lever's mind? It is out of, you must have studied about the theory of bottom of the pyramid. From the bottom of the pyramid, it is actually talking about this kind of a complete holistic case study people have done. And then they have brought out many models of building on the self-confidence of women and boosting the morale of the women and whatnot. So this kind of models were built up in sociology and even in entrepreneurship studies and so on. So another method is the holistic case study is actually, you are getting into only one case and you are only studying that case. Embedded case studies are like, you are examining just some parts of the case, but you have your own theory and setup already, just to, complementing the theory of your research, you are taking up one case. So that's called as embedded case study. Very interesting it is if you will get into this, any one type of it. Both you can do whenever you get some funded research or any type of thing. When somebody is funding you, it's more fun to do more research, I must say that. Now here I'm going to teach you, I rather say, I'm saying, telling you that we will discuss about the checklist with the 4 phases of case study. So there are certain phrases which may be not known to all of us. So this is related to some management studies. So this is actually applicable for the management studies, I must say. So one of my colleagues is doing intent research in management studies. So taking her own research as a parameter, I thought of developing this method. So one here, if somebody takes up the management studies as a research, you can definitely apply in your area too, like a foundation phase. So there are basically 4 phases. So the first checklist for this kind of case studies is starting with foundation phase. So what you do in this foundation phase? Most important one is your theory, your reading matters a lot for developing any kind of case and immersing yourself into the case. So the selection of the philosophical paradigm, it's very important. What is that? It is about emerges from understanding of ontology, epistemology, and paradigm of choices. Let's learn what this terms talks about. What is ontology? Ontology is about the study of being, the being realist or relativist. Let me tell you very frankly, in social sciences, we don't go for realist. Realist happens only when it is studies related to nature. Like we know a little bird flies when the time comes to fly. We know that how, like the baby giraffe is running immediately. So these all things are about realist study. But when it is relativist, that is what we do, then your ontology as a foundation phase in your research becomes correct. Then it is about epistemology. This looks little different, but it's all something which we do. It emphasizes the nature and origin of knowing, the construction of knowledge. How the case is, like the organization is constructed over the period of time, the basic research. Philosophical paradigms here, subject to. Philosophical paradigms here, like the basic set of beliefs that guides your actions. So when you go to any firm, so definitely the philosophical paradigms will keeps you, like with your set of beliefs, your readings, everything matters over here. Most important thing is that about the positivism. The researcher assumes that reality is objective and independently measurable by the researcher. Very important. The reality is objective and it can be independently measurable by you. Critical theory is a part of, again, foundation phase. Reality is historically established. Reality is historically established. Then about your interpretation. That is, you should be the interpreter of your own research. It allows the researcher to have multiple views for a research problem. This is all the way you have to set your foundation phase in the beginning itself. In the foundation phase, you need to go even for some inquiry techniques considerations. So what is this? This is about one's own philosophical stance, like whether it is quantitative or whether it is qualitative. Research logic considerations also need to be taken care over here in this phase. And there are 3 types over there. What are they? One is induction, second is deduction, and the third, the most researched one of this century is abduction. So let's see what is it. Induction method basically talks about relativists start with subjective accounts of lived experiences on which the theory is built inductively. Simple. On the contrary, deduction is a research logic begins with theory, okay, and it is aimed at testing arguments. So it is just opposite to each other. So in the beginning, you are on which the theory is built, and the other one, already there is a theory, and then you are actually argumenting over the theories, constructive effects, and so on. I would like to quote David Ricardo, an classical economist, who said that, transport cost is not a very important one in doing any particular trade. But when you will think about any nation which is landlocked, say for example in India, Madhya Pradesh, or so which is a landlocked state. So wherein they need to have, if you want to get it from any other nations which comes through the port, road transport and the transport is Cost is immense. So the theory is questioned over there. So it is like a deductive logic consideration, which we need to do. And a lot of such kind of deductive construction is required. Like it's always said or always assumed that people are rational in their behavior. Rather, they are irrational. So deductive arguments are very important for a successful research. Then this is the new generation idea called as abduction. And lot of research is going on this abductive generation. Abduction generates ideas and tentative theories that serves as a hypothetical concepts. So your hypothesis has been tested with the help of the theories and with induction and deduction methods. So it's a complete mixed ideas. So this is how my readings on this. What is abduction? It's systematic combining of both deduction and induction. So this is how it has been done. So you can read it out as every time the people ask about PPTs, I'll definitely share it with you. The second stage is called as pre-field phase, and the third stage is called as field phase. So let me tell you what is pre-field phase you have to see. First of all, you have to take decision about where you are going and which type of field work you are going again. Okay. Vidhi ma'am is asking for abduction again. I'll just go back. Abduction is a combination of both. It's gone ahead. Abduction is a systematic combining of deduction and induction method. So here the aim is to understand the social phenomena in terms of the motives and understanding of the people, not like to test the theories, or to verify the theory like induction theories. So this is something very, very different, and it is actually the researcher's stance in abduction model is you are actually inquiring yourself from inside. And the researcher accounts like the respondent view is explained by the researcher matters more in the abduction than in deduction and induction. That is why it is said as a new method in case study. So as I was talking about pre-field phase, so it's all about decide, and you have to follow a case study protocols. Case study differs from area to area. Like I've seen one of my colleagues is doing a case study on small scale industries in Karnataka. And one of my colleagues is doing in some other area. And we were doing in, like case study research is like, it's very vast. So you need to follow the case study protocols. If you want to go to a village and want to get data from or talk to a panchayat people or officials, you need to follow the protocols. Case study protocols is very important and ethically correct in any research. In the field phase, when you go to the field now directly, contact and interact. You need to actually develop a lot of network. This is from my own experience, I must say. The network is net worth. Network is net worth. The more network you have, you really have a lot of worth in this century. And you need to have more contact so that you can interact with more people. Because the better your data and the better the interaction, that only will give you a perfect research outcome. Because as many people say that, although Google Forms are not bad, they gives you a lot of ideas, but at the same time, the people who respond the forms, they are not there in your hands. They are you cannot choose them because it is actually circulated in so many groups. So which group it goes, you don't know. But wherein if you select a particular city and you select a particular village, and then you directly goes to any particular area, and then you can do that. So obviously it is something very different. So yeah, this is some materials which I actually wanted to give it to all of you, like about the research, and it is done by Rashid and several others. And on this, they have actually discussed about the empirical discussion pointers and the sources of evidence and focus which any participant interviews and meeting observers and what type of project reports they are expecting, and everything is given in detail of them. Final phase is called as reporting phase. So here in reporting phase, you need to describe the case. Obviously, you have enough information from these three stages. Then you have to describe from as, oral testimony of a participant. for which if in case in your Viva say or somewhere if somebody objects, you should have the recordings as your proof. Whether it is your even voice recorders or other recordings. So oral, you can write that the testimony of this village panchayat leader. So that way you can even describe your interviews in this way. And this testimonies has got a lot of values in your research. So, and you can even give the relationship descriptions in that, details of all the field protocols you followed. Accordingly, you have to write this case study research which you have done. Empirical material interpretation and the analysis which you have obtained throughout your research. As I told you, if you are going to a village and you are going to a village panchayat or officers or municipal corporations, and wherein you are studying some health science issues related to that, and how many people are happy, and on happiness index when you do recent research which I've studied related recently is about on happiness index. So on happiness, how happy the tribal people are. So the researcher is getting into the tribals and she lives amongst the tribals, and then they actually get immersing into the tribals. So the empirical material and the interpretation of the researcher becomes more beautiful. So you write it about it. So the researcher, again, you're a department person, and she is into the area and then collecting the data, talking to them and doing abduction method, and completely concluding it and coming out with amazing research work for UNICEF. So this kind of research is obviously funded by UNICEF, and UNICEF does a lot of funding for this kind of methods on case studies, and especially on tribals of India. So, yes, there are 15 minutes more left. So, I want to give one of a non-participant case study, which I have done long back on Umoja. How many of you heard about Umoja? I mean, I have time to interact now. Nuzat, tomorrow's session, I will tell you the difference between both. So, how many of you heard about this state called as Umoja? Umoja? Not heard. Okay, Rashmi, then I'm very happy to tell you about Umoja, because it's a very fascinating village in Kenya. And after many women, it's Rebecca Lolosoli is a founder of this village. It's called as a village without men. There are no men allowed inside, only women. So it's a women's movement in Kenya. And Rebecca is from Sambaru, you can say Samburu caste. And then it's over there, after marriage, the woman is believed to be a material of man. So the women are beaten up, and they don't have any voice to raise against. It is believed that she's supposed to bear all the beatings and everything, abusing and everything. So she was the one who came out and with an idea of creating a village for women. And then she has recovered some of the beaten up women who wanted to speak out. Eventually, 15 women came out to find out this original village in the year 1990. So I want to leave with you all with this video on YouTube. It's just for 5 minutes. I hope you have the patience to see this video. Are you all ready to see the video? Yes, people? Some change should be there, no? And yes, because I believe in showing up more videos and more sessions. If your internet is good, you can definitely see the video well. Let's just do this. I like to share. Share with some. So I hope all of us can see the video now. Can you see the video? Disha, can you see?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am. So we made it to Umoja. This is a women's town, one of the only ones here in Kenya, started by women of the Samburu tribe. So they established this town almost 30 years ago after experiencing abuse and being fed up with a lifestyle that they disagreed with.
The village changed to be the shelter of the women, where women run during their problem. Violence, early pregnancy, early marriages, they all run here. A girl in Samburu community has no right. We started Umoja in 1990. We have been having women dying, children dying. These women also have been kicked out of their home and they are jobless, and their parents, their relatives, they don't want you back. Tell the government that we need help, but there was nothing has been done. And then after, the women decided to come to me and ask me, what do you think we can do? Help us if you know. And I said, because now the government is not replying, can we start coming together as women? Then we can see what we can do for ourselves. Can we try and make our jewelry? When the tourists see, they stop and they want to buy.
Okay.
So people started selling just on the way. It was not easy because the men, they came and they beat the women, and they make also the clients, the tourists to run away. They beat and they take away again the money. So it was a big problem. So we decided, okay, what can we do? Because if they are coming and rape you when you are alone, and they come and beat you, we better come again and we make our village so that if somebody come, then we can protect each other. And we say, oh, okay, that's also a good idea. Then we said, now where can we put the village? We were looking at this tree here. We better take this place here. That time, our houses were here. They were small houses. Small one, you can't even go in, and we didn't have food. We are not strong even to go and cut good materials. We are only 15 women because it's an unusual village. So women were afraid. They are scared to join us.
When you came to start the village, had anybody done that before?
No.
Where women had just said, you know what, we
No.
want to protect ourselves, we want our independence?
No. This village also is not for only a Samburu woman.
Yeah.
We are saying it's for all women,
Yeah.
black and white. If somebody wants to kill anybody here, we are all women and children. These are our children. We'll protect you until the time you go back to your place. We have never been weak. We are always getting strong. We try to empower them to do small businesses. Mm-hmm. We train here. We make them to train people where the area they live, so that this thing can grow very fast. Before even we don't have money, but nowadays when we get our money from our jewelry or for entry, we use it for our school, for our children, for our women.
And this is giving a lot of empowerment to women, even like outside of Samburu culture, even for us, when we hear about it. Women in the Middle East, they struggle with the same fights for the same rights that you guys fight for. So when did you learn to speak English?
Just from that time, the way I'm taking people around. After I have started going to attend the many conferences of women's rights. Then some women also started coming to join us, until we become a big number, like 48 women.
Oh, wow.
When we are here, I think that's what we are doing, fighting of our rights. Being here is one of our rights, and we have refused to go out of this place. That's our school there. See?
This academy?
Yeah. So we are saying education for all, girls and boys, because if we don't educate also the boys, then we can't win our rights. So let us educate both of them so that they can understand the rights of the women.
Can men ever live in Umoja?
Here is where women's rule. They cannot come and rule us here. And if they want to go to be married, they can go, because we can't stop them having their life. We don't have men living in Umoja, but we have our sons. When they get job, they can live maybe in town. The sons come and visit their mothers and go. We love them because they protect us. We raise them up well with that knowledge of respecting the rights of the women.
It's beautiful that you're doing this 30 years later. It's so strong now.
Yeah,
The sons protect you now?
they do.
But they live with your values.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have good fence, but still we feel safe.
I hope that was fabulous. So this is a true example of doing a case study, being a non-participant and recording the things and observing and analyzing and measuring empowerment index. So empowerment index is something related to what we do in economics. But apart from that, everyone does that. Something which has actually gained the Nobel Prize, wherein Amartya Sen won the Nobel Prize through the empowerment index. So I must say that I hope I am done with my session, and I hope like you have a lot of takeaways. And Ahmed Samir, we will be definitely floating you the attendance link. Do not worry about that. Because I want to finish it before time and I don't want to take away your time. We will definitely give you. I hope like if you, I don't think any question should be here because it is observation all about how well you observe. So I have been observing you all throughout the sessions, like what you generally do. So I know, yes, the video is no doubt. It's something like which should encourage and motivate all of us. If this set of women can do so much miracles, and I'm sure all of us can do well. And cases are beautiful part of research. So hopefully you will do research, and research is the most fascinating thing in academics. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. So I think there was one question, and I think you already stated that you will be answering it in tomorrow's session. So it was about differentiating between case study and survey method. Yeah. Okay. So apart from that, if participants is any questions are there, any? Okay. So
I don't, because it was very self-explanatory type
yes,
of
as usual, I think from ma'am, this is the way. So we all know ma'am since a long time, and this is the way she, if there is any topic, she'll always teach in a very simple and an easy way to us that, it will look very fascinating. And always the examples which ma'am has always given to us are something, which are different. I think throughout the session only there were certain examples, all were not, very extempored in answering. They have to think and then they were able to relate, So first thing very sure is that we got a lot to know, different things from this session.
Yeah, I want to say something I forgot, like after showing Dishan, sorry. This is something which is the most important takeaway from this session. So last question to all of you, including Disha, you can unmute yourself and answer also. Like, what do you learn from this?
Okay, so I mean,
What do you learn from this?
let everybody open to their.
Yes. Small steps. Yes, Rashmi, this time you answered it right. Yes. So I want to say, like, never underestimate the importance of small steps. It's very important in life. So never underestimate the importance of small steps. What she said, no? Small examples. So I was actually recalling that.
Yes. Yeah, it's always great if we can relate any topic with layman examples or something which everyone can relate, then it will be more fascinating. I mean, the journey of learning will become more fascinating, and I think that's what happened, ma'am. Definitely with your slides, the way you present your slides are definitely amazing. I mean, the GUI in technical terms, if I say, the GUI of your slide is always, and to everyone, I just wanted to say, whenever ma'am presents something, it be anything, once we go and we ask how you make this presentation, that will be always our question. So thanks a lot, ma'am. It was like amazing session, and all the things, which we have covered were great in learning and understanding. Good afternoon to all the participants. So myself, Assistant Professor Disha, member of IQAC, considers a privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Yeah, you are always correct, Rajvinder ma'am. She's always smiling. True. I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Liji Santosh, for this wonderful session on observation and case study. Ma'am, the session was very enriching, resourceful, self-explanatory, and many times I felt the examples throughout the session that you have taken were really amazing, starting from the first picture itself. So throughout, I mean, yes, definitely at this time, you have kept all of us very engaging. Sincere thanks to our benevolent management for providing us with necessary approvals and support at the time. I'm thankful to our principal, sir, Dr. Sridhara Shetty, sir, for leading us from the front and being a guiding force in all our endeavors. This RM workshop would definitely not have been possible without the guidance of our vice principals. So thank you, Liji ma'am, and who is also our IQAC coordinator. And thank you, Sandesha sir, Vice Principal Sandesha sir. A big thank you to all the organizing team who has worked tirelessly for bringing this 10-day ICSSR sponsored RM workshop possible. Our sincere thanks to the technical team who are continuously working behind the show to make all this event possible. Thank you to all the coordinators, teachers, non-teaching staff of our college. And last but not the least, thank you all the participants. It's because you are there, the session is possible. And so there are many more sessions lined up ahead. Okay, so be like this, be lively into the sessions, enjoy the sessions. Have lots of takeaway from the sessions. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you.
Feedback. It can be a mixed methodology. You should have your own theory related to that, and then you can take a case. Or else, in case of any organization wherein how youth is behaving, that is also possible. Indirect is always better. Direct will give you a lot of problems. If nobody is going to respond you to your answers correctly here, then it will be like the story of rubbish bin, that your dustbin stories. Reality is hiding in the dustbin. Because it actually talks about the consumption pattern of the generation. I think that person, yeah, yes, I'm Prasad. Tomorrow morning, before 10, you should be here, huh? All of you. Tomorrow's session is completely technical. Don't miss. Survey karna hai na? Yes. So you should be.